Hi guys, welcome back again. So today is day 55 for the 100 Days of DevOps series. So yesterday we finished for day 54, now it is time for day 55. Why not? So honestly saying, I'm trying to enter this day 55 lab recently. I'm trying to get the correct solution to solve the challenge, but I failed. So now it's time to try together. Okay, let me check it out. So here the lab title is, you will see here, Kubernetes Sidecar Containers. So we have to create Sidecar container for this lab. So, okay, so let's go. I prepare one architectural diagram for this lab, and I think that would be helpful when we're trying to understand the challenge and problem. So somehow okay, let me go to appdiro.com first. So I will copy this given instruction from the top to down, and we will read. Okay, all right. Okay. Great. Okay, that's great. So it is time to read the given instruction. We have a web server container running the nginx image. The access and error logs generated by the web server are not critical enough to be placed on a persistent volume. So when user requests to the nginx web server, the nginx web server generates and writes new error or access logs. So that's why they need to keep in a volume. That's a flight. Sorry for my background noise. So they need to keep in a volume, but that's not supposed to be only for a web server. So however, Natalia's developers need access to the last 24 hours logs so that they can trace issues and bugs. So here is also clearly mentioned that they want to go back to the previous 24 hours ago to see and to check the issues and to fix the bugs. Therefore, we need to shift the access and error logs for the web server to a log aggregation service. So what does it mean, log aggregation service? Here, so for the log aggregation service, we have to create a new container, all right, to do, to access and check the error logs, right? So following separation of concerns principle, we implement the Sidecar pattern by deploying a second container. So they are trying to create a second container that ships the error and access log from nginx, all right? So nginx does one thing and it does evolve, all right? So okay, serving the web pages. So the second container also specializes in its tags, shipping logs. So now we now have two containers. So same containers are running on the same port, and we can use a shared emptyDir volume to read and write logs. Okay. So I will show you this diagram right now. So this is the Kubernetes port. So port name is web server. So within that port, we have two containers. One is for nginx container, one is for Sidecar container. So when user requests this nginx web server, it will generate or write logs, right? It's an access or error log, something like that. So those logs will be kept within this emptyDir shared logs volume, because this Sidecar container had to try to access and read and print the logs of this shared logs from the nginx server, right? So these two containers are related with this shared logs volume. So but they are mounting to the same volume mounting path directory right here, /var/log/nginx. Okay, so now you will understand what I mean right here. So now we will read the given requirements, 5 requirements. Okay, So we have to create an Kubernetes port. Port name is web server. So before we creating the port, so let me create a YAML file. So file name is, you can get any name, but let me get web server the same. To be more obvious, let me get port.yaml. Okay, so which ls, and we're trying to enter into that file. We find editor, so web server. Okay, let me change into install mode. So here we have to create an empty directory volume, right? So volume name is here share-logs. That's a volume name. So we have to create a regular container in the web server ports. So from the nginx latest image, name is nginx-container. So regular container is for the nginx container, and then we have to create an init container. This is very important. This is not init container, that's not a regular container. So image if ubuntu latest, we will use this image name, and container name is Sidecar Container. But this is not regular container, this is init container. So we need to consider this part carefully. If you don't consider this part carefully, this lab will be failed again. So, and then we have to add the following command. Command is here to the Sidecar container. So we have to copy this whole command and we have to write within the YAML file. Okay, and then the final step is we have to mount the share logs volume in both containers here like this. For the both container, we have to mount this share log volume. And finally, we have to make sure all containers are in a running state. Okay, so let me find how to create. You can write here step by step, line by line, but it takes time, so I will find a Google how to create a Kubernetes. Now cluster is a port for 2 container, such as init. So init container is Sidecar container, right? And nginx container for sharing logs. So I will find like that, send OS terminal. All right. So I will copy these comments, YAML codes. Okay, I will copy this. You don't need this number 4. This is Sidecar logger, but it is not clearly mentioned about that. Create a new container. We just only had to create 2 containers, right? So I will copy those things and I will paste right there. So when you see that, here apiVersion is version 1, kind is port, and metadata is we had to give the correct name because the port name is web server, right? So I will remove this. Okay, I will remove this name. Okay, the first step is we have to share the volume, right? So share volume name is share-logs, that's correct, and empty directory, right? Here empty directory is empty object, that's great. So here is a init container, so we need to give the correct specific argument right here. Init containers, run first to initialize the log file. So init container name is here Sidecar container. Sorry. That is Sidecar container, and image name is ubuntu latest, ubuntu latest. And also I need to give the correct comment, so I will copy the whole comment. So here I will remove this comment right now. Oh, what's wrong? Okay, let me remove this. All right. All right, I will paste right there. So here, volume mount name is share logs. That's correct. And the mount path is /var/log/nginx. That's correct. So now we have to create the regular container. This is a main container, nginx web server. For the so here, container name is nginx-container. Stay correct here. But we need to give the correct name, image name. So image name is with the latest tag. So tag name is latest, LATS, latest. So volume mount is share -logs, and share, here, mount path is /var/log/nginx. Okay, so this seems looks perfect, but it's not perfect because it is clearly mentioned that ensure all containers are in a running state. If I run this, if I execute this nginx container will not be running, and also at the same time this sidecar container will not be running because we just make it a new container that's not actually running. After a short period of time, it will stop automatically. So that's the problem. So the key point is here. We're gonna have to we had to add this value. Restart policy is always. So we need to give that property name and value. So how do we give that? So we can give right here. So restart policy and always. So if you don't have these lines, you get into the trouble. RESTART policy is always. If you don't add these values, you cannot run, here restart policy always, because that means we're gonna transform this init container into a long running native sidecar container. That's why we need to add this value. This is very important, so I will keep it, escape and save it. Now it is time to create the Kubernetes port. So we can create with a kubeCTR and apply -f and webserver port.yaml. Okay, so we check it out. So we will check the key get ports. You can write that. So you will see that 2 containers are still running. Right? So that's great. So to be more accurate, you can go like this: web server container. So, and also you can describe inner content. DESCRIB describe. Yep, so you will see that here, and this is the sidecar container. State is running. That's great. And here is the nginx container. State is also running here, because we had to here clearly mention we had to make that all containers are in a running state. So if you don't add this value, restart policy always, you cannot get like this. So okay, now let me see if that string line logs on the Sidecar container. So let me try to enter into the Sidecar container. So qctr exec, we run this it, and we will try to enter this web server port, and then I will enter into the Sidecar container, specific container. All right, let me run this. Oh, probably I had to add the dash bash script. Okay, now we are on the Sidecar container. So oh no. Sorry, this is a web server. We have to check the string lines using like this. QCTL. You know, we have to run like logs dash f, and then we have to get the web server, and we have to specify the Sidecar container container to see the real-time stream logs after 30 seconds. Because we do like the sleep 30 seconds, so when you send a request to the web server and then it's web server, this Sidecar container will track that access log or error log after 30 seconds, right? So now we don't see any request or access log or error log. So let me try to test it. So let me enter into the web server container, nginx container. So k-it exec-it a web server, and then we're trying to enter the nginx container. Okay, and then we do bash. Okay, so now we are on the nginx web server. So let me send a request to this localhost. So here you will see the HTML welcome page, and let me see here Sidecar container. We don't see now any incoming access log. Maybe after 30 seconds right here, we receive the incoming log right here. Yeah, so here you will see that incoming log is right here. Get HTTP request, CURL. Okay, let me try to another request. Localhost again. Probably I will see here. When I had to wait around 30 seconds. Yeah, so here we will see again. So another something wrong route path. Let me do blah. So here, thanks for using nginx. So this may be error log right here because for no found error. So let me check here again. Yeah, so finally we trace the error log here. You will see the get request, and here is the route path is the blah that I write here. And where is that? Okay, that's great. So finally we will check it out and click confirm. I think it will be successful. Yeah. So okay, so that's great. I tried many times, I fail it because I didn't add this value, here, restart policy always, because this is just, the key point of this lab. I would say like that. If you don't add this, it will not transform the init container into a long running kind of container. So don't forget this value. So but here is, you don't need to create like this Sidecar container separately. It's useless. So trying to memorize this restart policy always to make the long running container. Alright, so thanks for watching. See you in the next coming video. Peace out, guys.